Hi, I'm Brian King, and this is Five Things Friday. We finally got some rain. We have been in really desperate need for rain. It's been really dry, almost drought conditions. And today it finally rained. And it kind of made me think about how sometimes our marriages go through dry times. And you kind of need to make your own rain sometimes. And you need to kind of find a way to get refreshed. I know for my wife and I, we both have just come through a very busy scheduled time, a lot of stress, a lot of things going on, still a lot of things coming up. But with the weekend, I need to know how I can kind of regain perspective, kind of regain and get refreshed for the things that are coming up because we've just been through a very busy season before us. And sometimes, it gets really stressful. Both of our jobs had major changes. We had an event we put on, we did a bunch of other things. We had some vacation time, which is great, but it can also be stressful because all the stuff builds up and you've got to deal with that. And now we're kind of coming to a season change and a time of uh, change, and we need to get refreshed. So I'm going to give you 5 things you can do to kind of get refreshed if you've been through a dry season or a stressful season, because stress in your marriage can really make you feel like you're just roommates, like, you're just bouncing from one thing to another and you're not connecting. You're just kind of going through the motions because there's so much going on and you're always thinking about the next thing because the calendar's saying, schedule, 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 this, that, the other. And it's all kind of coming fast. And then finally, like with today, there's a little rain and it's like, oh yeah, I got to kind of reconnect. I've got to get refreshed. So, like I said, with the weekend coming up, here's 5 ways that you can stop and refresh your marriage after some of those busy times. Number one, plan a no agenda day. What I mean by that is, you know, force the schedule aside and just kind of say, hey, let's just have no obligations today, no work, no to do list, just some time to relax and enjoy each other's company. Get it on the schedule so that you can have that no, no schedule day. I know lots of times when we've been through busy times, my wife will especially say, hey, I know there's a ton of stuff to do, but let's go to the coast. Let's just take the day and go. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. We need that. And she's very good at knowing when we need to do that. Now, when I say go to the coast, uh, we go places, we don't go to the beach when it's hot. That's just not good for your marriage. The things that pass as swimsuits nowadays, not healthy for your marriage. We go to the beach when it's cold, when people are wearing jackets, that's fine. Uh, but it's just too awkward and too stressful to be hanging out on the beach when there's, basically half naked people, and in some cases, almost completely naked people hanging around. It's just not worth the stress. But what we do is we go to places where you can walk along the coast and watch the waves and the birds and the uh, seals sometimes, see the harbor seals and the different birds and stuff, and the boats going by. And we really enjoy that. It takes the stress off things. We both, really relax when we're at the coast. The ocean air. We have a bunch of places where we like to go to eat, different places, and we're about an hour from the coast, but there's like 3 different flavors of coast. There's touristy coast. There's part of the coast that's really rural and very just rustic, and then there's the upscale coast where there's all kinds of different things, shops and stuff that's super touristy. So, and they're all within about an hour in kind of different directions. So we get a lot of variety. So that's one of our favorite ways to plan a no agenda day. We just take off and go. Number 2, it's also important to reconnect physically and emotionally. You know, busy times often leave really little room for intimacy. You've got to take time for physical touch, make the hugs that last a little longer. Um, You know, have real conversations, stuff without distractions. Sit down and actually talk. I mean, I know that lots of times when we're in stressful times, we basically are go, 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 next thing, next thing, next thing. And, we'll be like a couple days, 3 or 4 days in. And it's like, we haven't had a real conversation in a couple of days. Let's just sit down and talk. And it kind of calms things down and gives us a better idea of how things are going to have to flow for the upcoming events. But also, it's just really important to reconnect so that, put your phones down and just connect, get in tune again. A lot of times, what it feels like is that we're just out of sync. Like, I'll come home and it's like there's things that got to be done, and there's just not enough time, and everything feels rushed. And that's when I know we really need to get back in sync. And we just make ourselves take the time and just kind of stop and relax and say, hey, let's get back in sync, physically and emotionally. And then we feel like we're kind of meshing again. And it just makes life a lot easier because we're on the same page. Number 3, one great way to get rid of stress is do something fun and light. Laughter heals stress. Play a board game. Watch a funny movie or a comedy. One of the things that we do is we'll pull out one of the old comedy movies and watch it again, or we'll rewatch a series that was comedy, and we just laugh together. Sometimes it's not. We know how it's going to end, so we can just talk through it and laugh and just enjoy it. Do something that both of you enjoy, but something that's not about responsibilities. Take time to play with the kids, enjoy them, keep the fun. Don't let it get pulled away by all the responsibilities. So that's number 3. Number 4 is revisit your goals. Yeah, they're still there. You know that there's things that you had planned that you wanted to do, that things you're working towards. If you don't have them, now's a great time to start sitting down and say, well, what do you want to be in, next year? What do you want to do next year? What's next year's project? What's next year's vacation? What about 5 years from now? Are we going to start saving up for, the European vacation? Or are we going to plan on buying a camper or a boat? Or, what are we working towards? Because that you've got a ton of work. The question is, what are you working towards? And lots of times you kind of got to reset and rethink, what are we doing? What are our goals? And it is so much better when you're doing things together and working towards the same goals, as opposed to just working and just getting by and just taking things as they come because it's so busy. You really need to kind of regroup, and revisiting your goals together is a great way to do it, because sometimes there'll be decisions that have to be made. And if you know what your goals are, it makes a decision so much easier. Like, oh yeah, there is this opportunity at work, and I should probably take that because that'll make it so I can afford this. And then it'll all just fit better together if you've taken the time to be on the same page. Because life really is better together when you have that togetherness and you're working towards common goals. It can take those stressful times, and you can basically, when she's a little down, you can lift her up. And when you're a little down because you're really tired from work, she can lift you up, give you an extra long hug and take some time to enjoy you and just enjoy life. And better together is kind of the theme for that one. And then number 5 is one that we've really put a lot of effort into, and that is creating small daily rituals. Like when we get up in the morning, I don't just leave the house. We take some time, we take a few minutes and and talk about our day. And I give her a kiss and a hug. And even the dog gets in on it. She comes over, and when I'm heading out the door, she'll get her head patted, and I say, "Be a good dog today." And I know it's silly, but it's funny because the dog even realizes that, okay, this is the time when we say goodbye. And then I try to do the same thing when I get home. We don't just say, "Oh, honey, I'm home." No, we kind of connect again. And it's a little ritual. And then we also make sure that we have coffee together, or a snack. Sometimes she has an iced tea, I have a coffee. It doesn't matter what it is. Sometimes we have a little treat. Sometimes we save it for after dinner. But in the big scheme of things, it's a ritual. It's something we do almost every day, and even on the weekends. Like I said, I don't ever, even if I'm just going out to work in the garden, I say, "Honey, I'm going to go work in the garden. You got something to do and you're all set. Okay, and I'll touch bases with you later." And, we don't just assume that everything's fine. We just kind of um, touch bases all the time during the day, and that keeps us connected. So there's 5 things. Plan a no agenda day together. Reconnect physically and emotionally if you've been going through a stressful time. Do something fun together, something fun and light. Revisit your goals, and then create those small daily rituals, because it will make it a lot more fun. You'll be able to enjoy your marriage, and you'll be able to reconnect and get reinvigorated after, the dry spells that come to every marriage because of stress, because of all the different things that come against us. We need all of these things. So there's 5 things for Friday. I hope you enjoy your weekend. I hope you get to plan a no agenda day and have some fun, and have those daily rituals and revisit your goals. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.